Hello to everyone in the studio and to those tuning in from your computers, phones, or tablets. And welcome to the first and the last podcast until, who knows, the next one, all about Madhacks. So my name is Manolis Vlatakis. I hail from the distant land of Greece, and I am proud to be starting this year as an assistant professor in computer science here in University of Wisconsin-Madison. And what's in store for you today? This podcast is about, in my opinion, a magical community, a gathering of extraordinary people, and an incredible event that took place right here in Madison, Wisconsin. So let's dive into the spirit of Madhacks and the brilliance it brought, at least to my life, and I hope to the life of the people here in our community. So let's learn a little bit about our company today, because I'm not alone in this table. Who are you and what are you doing here in Madison? So go in the mic and tell us, who are you, my friend?
Awesome. Hi, Manolis. I'm Michael. I am a senior in computer sciences here. I'm from Madison, and I think I enjoy participating in Madhacks because it feels like a good tradition, and it's an event that really makes being an undergraduate here in the department special.
I'm Nico. I'm a junior in computer science. I'm also from Wisconsin. I think Madhacks for me is a valuable opportunity for people to engage, the computer sciences department to engage outside of the classroom and just take a weekend to have some fun.
Hi, I'm Kevin, currently a junior at UW-Madison. I like Madhacks because it allows you to build a project you can call your own using things you haven't learned to in class. It's much more open-ended and a great way to explore your creativity.
Hello, I'm Chris. I'm a senior in computer science and data science, and I joined Madhacks because I thought it'd be really cool to do something that helps out the community, and I think a lot of people enjoy it every year, and it allows them to learn a lot, make new friends, and just eat food.
Hello, I'm Grace. I'm from Madison, and I'm a super senior. I will be graduating this semester, and one thing that I enjoy about running Madhacks is to be able to teach a lot of people computer science and to have them have an opportunity to learn.
So thank you very much. As you may understand, all these people that you are hearing in this broadcast were very shy, all of us, so I will try a little bit to break the ice and tell you a little bit the story. So you hear who we are, but somehow I think that it's not necessarily that you understand what is Madhacks. So let me tell you the story, why we're doing that thing. So it was more or less early October, and I'm walking past the UPL. So UPL is something like the undergraduate project lounge that we have at the Department of Computer Science here in UW-Madison. And suddenly someone from the lounge told me that amazing, fantastic question, Professor, would you like to be a judge at Madhacks? And here we are, going back to that very nice moment. But, instead of me answering, let me turn the question to all of you, to take the story from the very beginning, just to give you an impression of what is happening right now. The door is opening, and one extra member of the Madhacks group is just entering in our recording. So, a very natural situation, because, what is happening is that I am professor, and the rest of the people are students that they are working very hard for their tasks. And we decided that we will find some time to narrate an amazing story about Madhacks. So let's go from the beginning. First of all, let's introduce the new member in the table. Tell us your name, tell us where are you from, and what are you doing here, my friend?
Hi everyone, I'm Kayley.
Kayley, what is happening with you and UW-Madison? What is the year yet that you are here?
I'm currently a senior. I'm graduating in 2 weeks.
Let's congratulate everyone, our friend. So, let's go back to our discussion. It was October, and someone tells me, would you like to be judge to Madhacks? And of course, the natural question that I'm asking to everyone, what is Madhacks? So the mic is yours. Speak freely and tell me the story of that.
So Madhacks is UW-Madison's annual hackathon event. We host a building full of computer science and people interested in computer science, students for a weekend where they can learn from workshops, make friends and work on projects together, and eventually compete for the chance to win some prizes.
So, Michael, let me go step by step in this discussion. I am Greek. I know what is marathon. Can you tell me what is a hackathon?
Oh, what's a hackathon? So a hackathon it's an event where you try to code up a project within a finite period of time, and then you showcase your project to others at the event. So our hackathon is a 24-hour in-person event, and we invite, what was it this time? 260-something, 260-some students to come and build whatever they want to build, and we'll support them to that end.
So, just to understand a little bit, let's assume that I am a student somewhere, and I want to be at your position some years ago, and I want to understand how on the earth. I mean, I was the judge in that thing, but I want first to understand how did you get involved with Madhacks? Have you competed in Madhacks before deciding organizing the event? Can you tell me a little bit about the story of that hackathon thing? There was always, from the first day of computer science, there was a hackathon event. Go on.
So I was sitting in the UPL, the Undergraduate Projects Lab, in one of the Madhack team meetings 2 years ago, and it was spring of 2022, and the team was engrossed in doing Madhacks and getting it to work, and I somehow coincidentally sat in 3 or 4 meetings unintentionally, and I was a student at that time, and they convinced me, you should be a student at Madhacks. And so I attended the 2022 spring Madhacks, and then I ran 2023 and 2024 fall Madhacks.
So if I understand well, more or less, the table that we have here, that it is part of the organization team, actually you were previous athletes of this amazing coding marathon, right? So one question, what was the first hackathon that we had here in UW-Madison? How many years ago we have to go?
So the first Madhacks was in 2015, and we've had years where we've had many Madhackses and some where we've had none. We've also had different variations of the event. We had the UPL hackathon 1 year. Madhacks was my first hackathon, so you talk a little bit about how we're sort of veterans of hackathons. I was introduced to Madhacks as a sort of competitor, and it was through that I came to value a lot of what the guys sitting at this table did, right? It's a lot of work to put it on, and I think it was really fun for me. Yeah, so it's probably ran around 10 times, I think, right?
Yeah, I think it's about that.
And let me ask the question that everyone will ask. What happened during the COVID? Did you achieve to have even that year, an online
Madhacks
version of Madhacks, or how you ran it, or you skip it?
Well, we didn't run Madhacks, but Michael can probably talk more about it.
I see.
Okay, so during COVID, I was a freshman, and there was an acknowledgement that Madhacks was something that existed, and some of the friends in the UPL thought, we should have a hackathon, but they were kind of concerned that, it's not going to be big, it's not Madhacks. So they called it the UPL hackathon, and that was the little hackathon for the COVID year, and we all wore masks and fit in one of the rooms in the computer science building. But it's really the vision of Nick Winans, who had previously competed in the large Madhacks, and said, we need to bring Madhacks back. And so Nick's dedication and a year of hard work put the event together back from the pieces of what remained, and we've been continuing on that tradition since then. So we inherit Madhacks from the years before us, and then we host it for the years that follow.
So just to understand, right now Madhacks is something like an annual product, am I correct?
Mm-hmm.
That is a year-round work of all of you, that you will organize 1 day or 2 days of coding marathon. Let's be honest, the first thing that we need in order to organize that kind of events is the passion that I met in that amazing group. What I hear from your stories until now was that there were some amazing people that had competed and had organized that event previously, and they said, look, we have to do it again. And now my question is, so nowadays that the normality have come again, when did you start planning that amazing event? Like you refer to how many people you said that participate this year?
270-ish. I
Wow.
think we had.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
and we started planning around June. That is when we put that first building request for the
So
educational science
Before
building.
even before coming in the university, there was a group of people that were
Yes.
discussing about that. Okay, and it
Yeah.
was during June. What are you
June.
doing in your vacations, my friends? Okay, tell me.
Organizing that.
Organizing.
Organizing
yes.
Madhacks.
Yeah.
Amazing. And now everyone can say that in computer science we're a geek. Let's continue.
Yes.
So, go on. So, when did you start the planning? And tell me a little bit like, okay, so just to give an impression to the audience, this year Madhacks took place in the Educational Studies
Educational
Auditorium,
Sciences building.
right? But somehow, except from passion, as far as I remember, to organize that kind of stuff, you need money. So, can you tell me, like, how did you approach fundraising and budgeting for such a large event? And I understand that you are students, but can you tell me also who helped you about all this event, like the official people behind the story that we should acknowledge?
So we had $1,000 left over from last year, and obviously that's not even enough to cover the cost of a breakfast for Madhacks for about like 300 people. So over the summer, Sam, one of the other Madhacks organizers, started like cold emailing a bunch of people. I think it was like a collective effort. Everyone was just cold emailing a bunch of people. I was reaching out to a lot of people, my connections. They didn't really pan out, but I think we were all just reaching out into our own networks to see who was willing to sponsor Madhacks. So I think that was a lot of cold emailing over the summer. And then when it got closer and closer to the months leading up to Madhacks, we were like, oh, we still need money. So we talked to a lot of people, like Justin Hines.
So let me ask a question just to give the necessary information to our audience.
Mhm.
Why you need money? Like at the end of the day, you just
Oh,
get
why
into
you need
yeah,
money?
Yeah,
That's a
because
different
one
question.
would say you just gather in an auditorium and you are coding. Why you need money? What is
Well,
the necessary
Mhm.
expenses that we have to cover in order to organize that event?
Well, I think it's fun to code, which is why all 6 of us are here around this table doing computer science. But I think it's even more fun to code when there's maybe like an incentive, like a prize, and then there's also food that's provided. So I
Okay.
think the point of Madhacks is we have a weekend for you. You're here for 24 hours. We're going to take care of everything. You have a place to sleep if you need. We're taking care of all 4 of your meals, which is a lunch, a dinner, a breakfast, and a lunch again. And we have prizes for you to win if you want. And I think a lot of the money goes into, number one, our biggest expenses is like the food
Is
and
there
the
an
snacks and the
entrance
drink.
fee for the competitors?
No, it's completely free.
I
for
see. So
anyone
the
who's
whole
coming
idea
in.
is that here is the match. You can participate if you want.
Yes.
But then we're promising you, from our side, the organization is promising that we'll offer all the necessary food,
Yeah.
sleep, happiness, and if you win, you will get also a necessary
TV
prize.
if you want.
Okay, so now I can see why I need money to to support all of that. So, except from the network, that I understand that the situation was like you raise your phone and you start calling people and find the network of friends, community, companies that they want to support. So, how that organization ran inside the university? I assume that there is some mentoring or there is some observership, that someone observe that everything is going with the correct way.
Mhm.
Right. So previously, we had past experience running Madhacks, so a lot of us know how it's supposed to be ran. Also, we had a lot of help from MLH. They made us get onto a bunch of video calls in which we were able to ask questions, and they made sure that we were also on track, as well as we met every Sunday, every other Sunday during the summer to talk about Madhacks, to get some Madhack stuff done.
So I would like to ask you, how do you feel about that experience? Because you are coming in the university, and mainly we have you here as a student to do your assignments, to answer your exam questions. But my question is like, how do you feel that you took that responsibility? That in order to organize that thing, we have to find money. Did you feel anxious, for example, because of the transparency of that issue? Like, and also, how much anxious you felt you raise a very interesting point. Like, if you didn't have the money, how would you continue? How did you manage? I believe that it is a very nice, independent adventure that you have to cover that gives you lots of maturity. But I would like to hear from, first glance, your opinion about that.
Yeah, so I guess if you offered us just a room and the six of us, we'd probably sit there and code. But the special part of Madhacks is that we encourage people who would not otherwise show up to come and learn and participate. And so I think it's recognized by a number of people in the university, the value that Madhacks provides. And so we're supported by our advisor. The advisor of Madhacks is Peter Wardrop, who's a professor in the School of Education. We also, Kayley, I know you got a lot of help from people in the department.
Justin Hines is corporate relations at CDIS, which is School of Computer, Data and Information Sciences. He was really helpful, especially getting our last couple of sponsors like Fetch and Caterpillar as well, and Gigi Mitchell, who basically runs the department. But
Gigi is the amazing secretary of everyone.
Yes,
and knows
she's amazing.
Everything,
she's on the fifth floor,
everything.
knows everything, gave us all the
I
keys
agree.
we needed, gave us the tables we needed. And it was a bunch of support from administration, especially Cindy Fendrick and Stacey Noel for giving us advice on donor funds being processed through UW Foundation. And a lot of other people, especially CS advising Kayla Lentz, who is our CS advisor, who's in charge of the CSRSOs, and Bart Miller, who's the UPL advisor, by providing the space where this was all planned out. Because I don't know if you guys went through this, but most of all of the UPL chords, all 12 of them, are Madhacks organizers. And we had 4 extra people who were just Madhacks organizers. So it was a really big...
Hopefully it becomes self-sustaining.
Just understand now something that all of you are discussing. So, as you said, you are enough in love with computer science and with coding that if I give you just a place of, a room with a table for 5 or 6 people, you will start coding. But you decided that you want to have a very inclusive hackathon that everyone will participate. So I remember that when I entered the room, I found people that they were from New York, from Illinois, from Indiana. I don't know. Can someone tell me if we had someone from California? What was the furthest place that we host in our hackathon? And speaking about that, except from the statistics, who was the most crazy guy that traveled about many hours to come to our Madhacks? My question is how on the earth did you reach to find the potential participants? And equivalently, how did you decide who will be the potential sponsors in that event? And because, I understand that here is something like a game theoretic challenge, because if you try to make a huge propaganda, a huge opening, then you have to host almost all the undergrad society of US. So how do you handle the number of the people that you will have?
So I think it is a challenge, right? You open up the gates and you say, hey, we're running this well put together event, come on down and make something cool. So we had, I think, 1,070 applications maybe, and we had 267 participants. So unfortunately, we can't open the doors to everybody just because we don't have a space that can accommodate it, right? Maybe with the new Computer Data and Information Sciences building, we might be able to accept a few more people, but you're certainly right. I think we've had people from several states. I think Illinois, certainly, Minnesota, Indiana, I think.
Indiana, yeah.
Indiana.
Our team that won 3rd place, one girl traveled from Indiana the day of and the day after, and then her partner traveled from Chicago to come here.
Okay, that means more than 4 hours road trip,
Oh,
if I
definitely
count
more than
correct.
4 hours.
I see. So, Nico, just to understand something, okay, you tell me that there are applicants and there is something like a committee that will decide who will be admitted and who will not. But let's go one step back. How did you advertise that thing? Did you send an email to every different university all over US? How that works?
Well, we sort of shouted down from the rafters in every single direction, but I think Grace was involved in it quite a bit.
So what we did, I'm pretty sure, well, Nico, first of all, you helped update all the websites, you helped do all the Instagram, social media that we have out, and then after that, we Michael and I, when it was ready to get students to participate, ran around the CS building posting stickers or these little squares that had the QR codes of the link to participate. And we stuck that all over the CS building. And then we did a career fair right after. We attended and we hosted a little stand in which people could come up to us and talk to us about the Madhacks hackathon. And they kept telling me, oh, we saw the stickers all over the CS building. And I was like smiling because these are all CS majors wanting to learn more. And so like through that, we were able to reach the university audience, and then by word of mouth, that somehow spreads to audiences further from that.
And as a testament to that, of this guerrilla marketing, there are still Madhacks signs up on whiteboards
Oh,
in
wow.
the CS labs on the first floor, and there's still a QR code in the girls' bathroom on the first floor.
Amazing.
It's been there since
Amazing.
the beginning of the semester.
So let me keep my breath for 1 second and acknowledge something that you're very young and maybe you don't understand that, but that is the reason that I called you today to organize that podcast. It's amazing. What you're describing more or less is that you create a silent company organization in order to host that, and you did it with an amazing solidarity. This is what you're describing all the time, and I feel that this is amazing. Like, typically people think that in the University of, in the Department of Computer Science, what we are training people is to be just coding people. And here we see decision makers. We see how you can self-organize, create a society, take decisions. Now, I'm a little bit interested about that. Like, let's go to the juicy part. When did you have a fight? Like, the democracy work in UPL, how you take decisions? How do you take the decisions when you have to take a decision and everyone is not in an agreement? Is that unanimity and the heaven in the earth, or you have always disagreements and there is a way to solve them?
It happens when someone volunteers to do something, and when they volunteer, we give them the right to do it the way that they want to do it. So if I give Chris judging, I would want to let him do it the way he wants to do it, and then we see what happens, and then see how it runs, and see if that works or doesn't work. Then it all works out, like all the pieces get done.
We recognize that everybody is good at different things, and so we allow them to sort of self-select into the work that they want to do. And everybody's sitting around the table, right? Everybody's showing up to these meetings because they find some value in building community through Madhacks. And nobody has to be there. It's not a requirement. So everybody's opting in. They want to do different things, and it works out.
So I don't want to delve more on that. Like, there is a political comment here, and I'm proud of all of you because somehow someone can see in the future that there is hope. There is hope of people that I am amazed, for example, from the comment that you made that, different people are very good in different stuff and they are in love for different tasks, and we can trust this diversity in order to create an amazing event. And, it's not that you discuss that, you implement that, and that is even more amazing from my side of view. But okay, so let's go a little bit about this year Madhacks. Can you narrate a little bit to the audience? Okay, somehow the natural question to ask is tell me the winners, but I will not ask this question first. I want to ask, first of all, what was your favorite project? Like, I think that would be a little bit useful to understand a little bit also what kind of project were able to be implemented in, you say, 24 hours of continuing coding, if I understand correct.
24
and
hours.
just to give an explanation why I say 2 days, what time the marathon is starting and what time the marathon is ending, more or less?
It starts at like 11 in the morning.
Of
and,
Saturday?
Saturday, and ends at 11 the following day.
Wait.
So
We have here 6 people from the organization team, so I expect to learn about 6 amazing projects that you like or you hate. Like, I'm here to hear everything.
I guess, so my favorite project was one called Pomo Bread, and it's essentially a mix between like a Pomodoro timer and I guess I don't know how to describe it. It'd be like Webkins or something, where you have an online e-pet, and essentially so Pomodoro timers are like the studied way to learn things, where you work for 25 minutes and you take 5-minute breaks. And basically, the better you keep to that schedule using their project, the happier your pet will be, which was like a cat in the shape of a bread loaf. I don't know. I thought it was a really cool project.
Kevin?
So mine was a project called Textbook Tutor. So it was pretty cool and pretty practical. So to use it, you just uploaded a textbook, and it would generate all these questions based on different sections of the textbook.
An amazing app for me, I
Yeah.
agree, as a tutor. Anyone else? Something that you like, something that you hate, something that impressed you a lot? Or you find it very interesting that was created in just 2 days?
A team that I helped was one of the teams that were creating this food kind of. You upload things that you are going to eat, things that you have in your fridge, and it just generates recipes from the ingredients that you have. That team had never touched, they were all data science majors, not even computer science majors, had not touched any like real HTML, CSS that they were writing, and were writing that for the first time. So I was guiding them through like basic how to add code into GitHub, which is the repository to share code in. I walked them through that, and by the end they had a full working application that had a database and a backend to it, and did that within the entire 24-hour time period that we had.
Okay, that is a little bit interesting point. So until now in our discussion, somehow we bridge the gap between my generation, my mother's generation, my grandmother's generation, and your generation. What on the earth you are doing for 2 days in coding? But you're saying something that I think that it is much more interesting for people that they are hearing that podcast, and they are freshmen or they are in high school and they are thinking to participate in that event. So let's go a little bit. I'm 32 years old, but for now I will imitate that I am 18 years old, and I would like to ask you like the following questions. Question number one, as you said, if I don't know how to code yet or how to implement a website, is it meaningful that I can participate? Like maybe I'm in love of the idea of designing something as a project, but is it meaningful that I will participate? Like is someone that can mentor me or support me? Like there was something like an organization subgroup that had that task. I saw that you had some workshops. It was something like a mentoring, like a cold start, how to do it in 5 minutes, and also like I'm curious, like if someone had a question, in the middle of the time was like, I don't know what to do. Like there was someone that was able there to answer their question. And frankly speaking, if I was 18 years old, another issue that I would have is, what is happening in the midnight, like the support. So let's assume that I am a freshman. I'm in love of the idea to participate in that thing, but I don't know anything. And by the way, I saw lots of people that they belong to that category. So how did you support all of that idea?
I can start. In high school, I went to my first ever hackathon. It was my junior year, so I was a teenager. I was completely confused. I had no idea what I was doing. I made my first ever website there. And by the way, at this time, I had never touched a line of code before. So I made my first ever website. It was god-awful. It was HTML, CSS, JavaScript. The JavaScript was broken. The other two parts were barely working. But I think one thing that was really cool was that at the hackathon, you got to learn from so many people. I remember we got like completely obliterated at judging. It was like a really cool project. Like someone made a drone with their own custom hardware, and that was their final project. But I think it was not as disheartening as people would see it to be, because it was, I got to see really cool projects. So I think that's what we try to do with beginners here, where we kind of build them up through workshops, and we hopefully at the end of 24 hours, you're going to have a really cool project that you're proud of. And also, even if you don't make it to the finalist stage, you can see a lot of other cool projects that inspire you to continue being in CS. But I think Michael can talk more about the workshops part.
Yeah, I think my favorite part about Madhacks is having the workshops, because what it means is that for students of all different backgrounds, of all different skill levels, even if you haven't had the chance to gather a bunch of previous experience. Like I know that depending on where you grow up, like you might be like swimming in hackathons to participate in high school, or you might not have that many. And so we're really all able to offer that formative experience to people who might not identify as a hacker before participating at Madhacks.
So, Mike, because I have observed that in this table everyone is very shy and you're not trying to brag. If I understand correct, when you say that you organize a workshop, that means that you were the teachers and you transfer the knowledge to the students. So it was from students to students knowledge, raw knowledge that you offer.
Yeah.
Yes, but what we did differently from this hackathon from previous hackathons is we asked other student groups, other student organizations within the UW-Madison area to help run the workshops. For example, I was also part of Girls Who Code that ran the HTML CSS workshops, as well as the React workshop was done by Nithlin and Caleb from WebDev UW, and Transcend UW also presented on how to present. These workshops are super valuable for newcomers. Even at that past hackathon, we had a set of like girls who just sat through all the intro workshops, and like they were like freshmen, and I was talking to them, and they had they were computer science, but they were just doing those intro courses, just getting into the swing of things. And they sat through all of the workshops. They learned a lot. And because of that, we had an amazing way to teach and support young individuals wanting to learn.
I see. So, first of all, what I understand is that even if I am beginner, I can go there, say, hello, I don't know anything, and I will learn lots of stuff. And even if I don't make it to create the final project, I had 2 days, the most intense course that I could have from my future best friends, if I understand correct. Let me make a little bit here a break. And you raise a very interesting point, and I'm not sure if you have it in the path of the questions that I would ask you, but I want to raise that point. So computer science is a field that discrimination and different percentages of participation between diversity groups is a very clear stereotype that we're trying to fight. And frankly speaking, so I remember when I get into the auditorium that I saw participants of lots of women, for example, girls that they were coding. I'm interested, first of all, to learn. If you have a little bit briefly, like some percentages to tell me. But I would like, in general, to ask you, like, except from the numbers. The numbers says a part of the truth, but I had a feeling that the other part of the truth is something that I would like probably to hear it more from Kayley or Grace. Like, how did you feel the first time that you participate? Like, how do you see the experience of Madhacks as an experience that breaks the barrier between the percentages and the fear that, I belong to a minority, that it is not good enough to code, and all these bad stereotypes that we have built about decades, unfortunately, in our area. So, first of all, I think I should go to Mike and ask about the numbers. You're the one that remembers the numbers. So what was the percentage this year?
Okay. We built a system to track each of the people and what they participated in. And so we were measuring who came to the hackathon, and more importantly, who stayed at the hackathon. And so I think it was about 30% girls, if I remember correctly.
36% probably.
Okay. But the more impressive thing to me is that the attrition rate was lower among competitors that identified as non-male genders versus the male population.
I see. So I'm going back to you. Like, how do you believe that a Madhacks is a place that is the first time that someone can start get involved and be more brave and starting break the stereotypes that she is afraid, they are afraid of what I'm doing here? Am I good enough?
I think a hackathon is daunting for any first-time hacker because whenever you say hacker, everyone thinks it's like, oh, you're inspecting element into an HTML and then hacking into a website or something, like, you know, in all the movies and stuff. But I think as long as like well, to go back to like I think one of your previous questions, I think it was definitely really daunting my first time going into a hackathon, but I've done so many years of computer science where like you kind of see that there's this imbalance and like I just ignore it. Like even sitting at this table, I stopped caring about it. And I think it's something that a lot of people who are new to the field don't have the same mindset as me, because it's something that takes like years and years to learn. So I think coming to Madhacks, like just coming in, we want to build you up, and I think you can complete my sentence a lot better than I'm about to.
I guess in the face of Madhacks, the nice thing about Madhacks is that people are grouped into teams of 4, and you can get a group that has both girls or guys. You could get a group that's just you are the only girl and it's a bunch of guys, or you could get a team of girls. And in that sense, you create this tiny community within yourselves where you learn and build off of each other, and that's more important. Like showing up and being there is the most important thing, just purely because even if I'm a girl and you're a guy, you're still learning and you're still growing and you're still becoming who you're going to learn and become a better programmer by being there. And so because of that, if there is a gender dis gap, that's fine. And if there is more guys, that's fine. However, if you're improving yourself, then that's where we want all hackers to be at.
I see. So one last question about this subject, and we will continue later. But do you have plans the next years how you can even more embrace the diversity inside the school, and how you can involve more people? Like right now, I discuss only about one axis of this issue in the diversity gap, but there are multiple ones, and I have the feeling that you as students, because you embrace much more solidarity in your generation than what we are doing in our generations, you have better understanding and maybe better ideas for the future. So what are you planning, or what you have planned already and I'm not aware and I would like to listen about?
So I think one thing that we see, like we're in the heart of the state of Wisconsin, and that is the population that we're looking at. And so while like statistically you can see that a race gap or a gender gap might be the largest discrepancies in our department, I think it's also important to recognize that both the inclination to like seek this out and participate in it, but also that fear that's the first step of any learning process. I think, Kayley, that you were just describing, like taking that leap and saying, oh, I'm going to do this. All of that, like that fear is based off your past experiences. And so because we are a state where people don't have equal access to all of these experiences based off where they come from, we can recognize that, and we can make sure that Madhacks is providing opportunities to people that broaden their worldview and that broaden what they have access to. Maybe they're a student here, maybe they're a student somewhere else. If they're willing to drive to Madison, we can give them the opportunity to compete on this largest stage in the state, and I think that's really important.
Okay, so let's go on a little bit and let's go back to the game. Okay, so we have the people that from Saturday to Sunday they decide to participate and organize their own project. Congratulations. And now, how do we get our winner? Who is the one that will decide the game? Can you tell me a little bit the rules? I know. I was one of the judges, but like, can you tell me how did you organize all that event? Like, how did you select your judges? How did you decide how many prizes you will have? Like, I understand that probably it's a process of experience from the previous years, and here is something that I will do. It is test and try, but tell me more. Like, how we get our winner this year?
One of the really important parts of a hackathon, one side there's participants, and it's great, and we always have a really high turnout of people. Another aspect of it is the judging process, and for that we bring in mostly professors from the university, also some industry professionals. We had someone from Meta who flew in from Seattle, and different companies that help. And essentially what happens is So at the end of the hackathon, everyone submits their project, and then they will have a set amount of time to present their projects to judges, and each team is seen by a number of judges that's determined by the amount of time we have and the amount of judges we have available. And so the more judges we can have, the better that end process goes, because we have more fair judging and also more efficient judging. And then at the end of that, we score them based on the judges' preferences, and the top 6 teams will be able to present. And then following that, there's another decision made by the judges based on those final presentations, which top 3 teams they'd prefer.
And can you remind me who were the top 3 teams this year?
Yeah, for sure. So the first team they had a they had a augmented reality mixed with virtual reality project. And the second place team, and that was called Momentscape. And then the second place team was called Mad Shell. And in this project, they had a mixture of like AI helping with command line. And essentially it would make the command line more intuitive. And for the third place, a project called Detective Mole. And for this one, you could upload an image of a mole you were concerned about, and that's like a skin lesion. And they would help you determine if it's cancerous or not, and if you should seek further treatment.
It's a little bit strange that they will speak about the second prize and the third prize, but that was one of my favorite ones. First of all, as an electrical and computer engineer, I found amazing the idea that you just put an exclamation mark in your terminal. You write your request. You send with an API to some LLM. Give me back the correct terminal command and execute it. That was amazing. The Mew was a very interesting idea. Let me share to the audience a little bit some information. So it was a participation of 2 ladies from Chicago, if I remember well. It was either Northwestern or
South
UIC.
Korea.
Eh?
They were from South Korea.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. So, I was referring about their academic origins.
Yes.
What I found very, very interesting, so the whole story was that one of them, her mother, had cancer, skin cancer, and the other one thought that, look, this is an amazing project. Let's find out how we could create something like a system that can help in detecting or preventing or give some initial information, because frankly speaking, nowadays even me I remember when I came in US and I was immigrant and I would like to go to a doctor, I had to wait about something like 2 or 3 or 5 weeks, and especially about skin cancer, because it takes lots of time to feel the pain and the problem that maybe it will create it. Maybe you will forget it and you will not take account it. And I did so first of all, it's amazing the motivation around the stories of all these projects. Something that I would like to ask, if you have an understanding, like, 2 years ago we didn't have OpenAI, we didn't have ChatGPT, and we didn't have all that stuff. How much ChatGPT or OpenAI or LLM API calls we had, how much Madhacks had been transformed because of the existence of LLMs and large language models. For people that you don't know, it is that machine that you are writing prompts and it answers almost like a human. So how much changed because of that?
I think that, as you see in any sort of realm of development, LLMs and OpenAI and all of these sort of innovations has definitely shifted the landscape. I think it's similar here. You see a lot of projects really using those capabilities to answer more interesting questions, when before a lot of the time was dedicated to sorting out some complex logic. Now they can abstract that away behind an LLM. That's no longer the problem. Now the problem is, what's the best question we can answer with these tools, or what's the biggest challenge we can address? How can we make a broader impact?
So if I understand well, if we look back in the previous Madhacks, first of all that idea of ChatGPT was super helpful because it was an extra place to ask a question, and whenever you have stuck with your code, find out what you have to do. So I assume that the quality of the projects has become much, much better thanks to that tool. Is that correct?
I think it's generally correct, yeah. Like in the past years, we've had mentors, of course, and they're always useful because they can, provide very explicit and sort of directed answers to students' questions, but perhaps your question extends beyond their knowledge, and now you have another resource.
Out of curiosity, at the end of that amazing event, can you tell me what was the final attendance numbers and how do you compare with the goals that you have settled down at the beginning of that Madhacks event? Like how all that situation goes? Like, are you satisfied or not? Oh, I'm asking that because, I'm not sure if in 10 years from now, it will be the place that we will have a hackathon where it will be a rule. Don't use ChatGPT just for fun. Let's try to see if we can code alone or not. Okay, that is a personal joke, but I
think that's very real, though. And I think when you go to class and you sit down and they're like, okay, here's how you code. You use a if statement, you use a for loop, right? There's some explicit objectives there. And that it's that you internalize that process of thinking algorithmically. But the hackathon curriculum and the undergraduate CS curriculum have always been different because in class you're asked to do something yourself and to create independently. But when you come to the hackathon, it's about putting together different tools that you can find. So now we have the LLMs as a tool, but like how to make an API call and interact with a service that someone else is providing has always been top of the unofficial hackathon curriculum. And so I think people have more tools now, and they can use those tools better. I don't know if maybe these projects will become less novel or something, but I think people are still doing fairly creative things with them because they each see problems that they want to solve and they come to solve them.
I see. Speaking a little bit more broadly, I would like to ask the following question. Madhacks is a thing that is interesting only about people that they are doing computer science, or is something that it is more broad? Like, how do you see that part of diversity and inclusivity?
So at the student organization fair, we ran a booth and we advertised Madhacks there. And a question I got very often was, I don't know how to code. I'd like to learn how to code. I'm in a different major. Can I still come? This is the experience I have, which is typically pretty low. And they're like, can I do it? And my answer is always yes, for sure. 'Cause my first hackathon, I think it was 3 weeks into the school year. It's actually when I made my GitHub account. I got on a team and we were all first semester freshmen. They were like, who's doing front end? Who's doing back end? And I was like, what is front end? What is back end? But yeah, so you go to something like this and you go from doing, you get a write-up in class of the things you're supposed to do to, oh shoot, I need to make a project. What skills have I learned can I use to apply to this? And you realize, oh, maybe not as many as I would have hoped. And you just work together in a team, and you'll have some people with more experience, some with less, and you all work together because you want a good project at the end. And I think a lot of different majors benefit from this because they don't necessarily have exposure to these coding classes. And honestly, one of the most efficient ways to learn it is just trying to hack together a project with a group of your friends.
I see. So I have the feeling that I have to go to the logistic friend that we have here. So can you tell me a little bit numbers, if you have, like, how many participants we have? Do you know how many people had participated for first time? And do we have the statistics, how many people call themselves for first time hackers, or that there was the first experience that they have with that amazing machine that we will call computer? Maybe I'm asking something difficult for the last question, but yeah.
I mean, that's a really good question. I have tried to go through every single application, and we have like 1,000 applications, and I've tagged the people that I could identify based off what they could write as that they're probably a first-time hacker. And I don't have the total count of that because I don't know. There are probably many more that didn't write something along those lines. But given that information, we were able to look and see what workshops did they attend. Did they stay? Were they there at midnight for the midnight event? Or did they leave after dinner and come back for breakfast in the morning?
What was the midnight event?
Oh,
come on, tell me more.
So the midnight event was called...
So, Nico, just to explain to the audience, I came into the Madhacks only about judgment in the last day. I was, the prestigious people that would judge. So I lost all the fun, all the real fun. So tell me what was happening in the Saturday midnight.
Saturday midnight's always a fun time. You have a few people who are staying and they're doing all 24 hours. They haven't slept. They've got their energy drinks cracked. And the event we did this time was an estimathon. So you're given interesting questions, and you have to estimate approximately how many grains of sand are in the sea.
Okay.
I think one of the questions were how many people has attended University of Wisconsin-Madison's OS from this certain year to this certain year.
Oh.
It's a number in which it's very difficult to know, but you have a relative estimate by being here to know.
And so the challenge is who can get the closest.
Nice.
So it's sort of builds on their ability to reason and sort of their framework for how they want to think about the question. And we had a good number of participants.
So I'm going back to our friend with the logistics. Tell me finally how many participants we had in the final event.
I know that we had 59 teams submit projects.
60 teams times 4 or 5 people probably. So you should say something like 240 people.
It's teams of 4 or less.
It's probably teams of an average of 3 people.
Okay,
average
so
3. Yeah.
What a wonderful estimation
we should
question.
estimate something like 200 people working together in teams of 2, 3, or 4 people. Did we have any solo wolf that was trying alone to do all the job or not?
I believe there were, but one person that stood out to me was a middle schooler who emailed us a week.
Middle school?
Yeah, middle schooler. He was in
Okay.
8th grade. His mom would come in to check on him, and that's when I realized who he was. But no, I think he was trying to solo hack.
Do you remember what was the project that she tried to do?
The last time I talked to him, he was trying to get something working with Express.js, but I didn't see him at the closing ceremony, and I didn't see him present anything on the second day.
Amazing.
But it was really cool that he was there, and he's the only solo hacker that stands out to me.
Okay, and now, do you have anything else to add? Go on.
Well, at the end of the estimathon, you get the answers. So I
Okay.
can tell you that there were about 195 people who submitted projects at the end.
Amazing. So let me ask now the following question. People are listening until now our, I hope, not so boring podcast. I would like to ask you the following question. Okay, they lose the opportunity to participate this year. Okay, good. They can wait until the next year. But as far as the Wisconsin-Madison, is there any other place that can find that fun environment that until now you have solved that is happening in these today events? So in other words, I have to wait about 1 whole year in order to feel that experience of, I have a group of people that we will work together, we will discuss about the project, we will do some work together. So tell me.
That's a really great question, Manolis.
Thank you very much, Nico, but I will take all this appreciation later. Go on with the answer.
So just as Madhacks is a wonderful opportunity to sort of meet new people, build community, put together an interesting project, and have a lot of fun doing it, I think one space that stands out to me, and a lot of people who help organize Madhacks are also members of the Undergraduate Projects Lab. It's a community and space on campus in the Computer Sciences building, which is dedicated to just that, building community, working on exciting things, sort of staying together, and just having a lot of fun. So whether you're going to come in and stop into the lab during lunch and eat there and talk a little bit, draw on the whiteboard, or maybe late at night stop in and work on a complex game theoretical equation.
Can you tell us how much late at the night?
Well, that's a good question.
No, be honest. No one is hearing us. Not your parents, but go on.
Well, the latest I've been there is 5 a.m.
Okay.
But I don't think that's...
Can you tell us the median or the mean?
I think usually till 10 or 11 at night, there'll certainly be people there.
I see. And so if someone wants to participate
Just walk in the doors. You just walk in.
Fine. And out of curiosity, how do you advertise the activities of UPL? I remember in different schools that I have been until now here in US, there is some specific time at the beginning of the academic year that people are advertising different societies, different organization activities. So how someone that is starting in the university will learn about UPL activities?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I think, well, first off, we have a big room on the first floor of the CS building. We'll have a big room in the new building. The UPL is prominently featured in the spaces that students walk by every day. But in addition to that, we will advertise at the beginning of the year. We aren't at the CS Clubs Fair because we're a lab, and so we can't advertise with the clubs. But you'll see Madhacks there, and you can come to the Madhacks stand and ask about the UPL. Also, we usually hold a UPL open house to welcome people in, but the reality of it is that it's a really friendly group of people, and people should feel comfortable to just walk in the door. We try to keep the doors open for hours and hours every day. If you come in the evening, sometimes there's leftover food from some event somewhere in the building.
So I would like to ask a question that, when I came to University of Wisconsin-Madison, let me share that as an opinion, and from that you will understand very well the question. So I have been, my bachelor was at Greece in state federal university. Then I went in an Ivy League school for my PhD at Columbia University. Then I went to a state school like University of California at Berkeley, and then I came here. One thing that I like a lot in Madison is somehow that I feel that the university is working for the people of the state, like from the Wisconsinians for the Wisconsinians. I don't know what is the correct term, but so I want to understand and like share a little bit, first of all, my happiness about that, because, I am a professor in a state university, and I feel that it is amazing that I feel that there is an impact in the state. But from the perspective of Madhacks, all this idea of Wisconsin idea, like let's support our state, let's be happy and proud of our state, and let's try to cover the necessities of our state. Can you tell me a little bit more, like how you see Madhacks has an impact in that idea?
I think there's a lot to be said about Madhacks and the Wisconsin idea, whether that is that the boundaries of campus include those from the community, whether they're a grade school student, or we had competitors come from Madison College, from the other UW system schools, and from our surrounding states. As essentially, Madhacks is the product of the community that we have here that's so strong to create that community for those 2 days. And by just providing a positive environment and concentrating all of the resources that we can find, be them industry professionals from the Madison community who come in to volunteer, or companies that will come to either recruit students or just to show up and support. Students come from all over. They bring their knowledge of the problems that face them and their communities at home, and we help them learn that they can use technology to develop solutions to their own problems.
So do you have the hope? Actually, I would like to ask you, all these years that there was this competition, have you seen any, even if the idea was not implemented, I'm curious if we know some idea that start a spin-off, if we have statistics of that, but at least if you have something like a memorial that those two people were at Madhacks 2015, and right now they're running their own company somewhere in Wisconsin or somewhere else. I don't know. Like, I'm asking a little bit difficult questions because you are young enough and you're not observing the whole history line of the competition, but I'm curious if you know.
So the way we do it and the way students submit projects is we keep an archive of all past projects and the ones for the given year, right? So you can, do that sort of search and go find that. I don't know if we've done it, but
yeah, I don't know of any, but if you look up Madhacks followed by a year, you'll find the projects posted from that year. And if someone discovers a startup that spun out of Madhacks,
we also have like documentation of Google Drives of past hackathons that have happened. We have lists of retro meetings from every single year that Madhacks has run. And so from an organizer standpoint, that is very helpful to have. And it's like the remnants of that plus the remnants of dev post of all the hackers that have left their mark on the dev post that we are so grateful for.
The amount of people who have come up to me after the event and said, I'm going to continue working on this because Madhacks inspired me to start. It gave me a 24-hour period to really pick away at this problem, I'm inspired to continue building.
I see. So let me, while I'm going to the end, I want to give you, first of all, the opportunity to do, I would like to do the dirty job here and help you for the future events. So one point that you raise is that, look, we put our heart, we put our passion to organize that event. Amazing. Congratulations to you. But we need some money to support that diversity, to support this food, to support this overnight situation. So let's assume that I am a company. Can you tell me a little bit why I should invest money to that organization? Like what I would win from that kind of event? Frankly speaking, because I'm academic, I don't know if I can phrase it better, but it's your 3 minutes to explain why the companies should try to invest their money, their effort, and their passion to such kind of organizations in order to support the future events.
Well, number one, I think I can go first and then Grace can follow up. But I think something that's really cool about Madhacks is we're at the largest state school in Wisconsin, where we have so many opportunities here in Madison, and by virtue of that, we're the largest hackathon in the state and in the surrounding area. For example, they don't host hackathons at University of Minnesota, and not so much at UIC either, so that's why you have so many competitors come in. It's like a really strong, talented pool of builders and hackers that are really passionate about what they do. So I know a lot of companies that use this as a recruiting event, where I know a lot of our hackers have gotten interviews and offers and positions and actually interned at places like Fetch, who came last year, TDS Telecommunications, which is why they came back again, and they're actively interviewing people who are at Madhacks. And for the second place Mad Shell, Caterpillar, the guy immediately after they won the competition, he asked me to give him the emails of the people that won Mad Shell. So I think it's a really great place to just be at the center of so many inspiring people, where they're making everything to their heart's desire.
And going off of that, in the summer I get on calls with so many of the sponsors, and we tell them we will give you stage time in the opening presentation of how much. We have a sponsorship package that you can read on our website, madhacks.io. You can send recruitment materials, you can obtain resumes from students, you can have a recruitment table at the beginning, we can provide a private room for on-site interviews. You can put your promotion swag in the bag. You can put your logos on the websites, logos on the t-shirts that we buy. You can sponsor a meal or sponsor a social media blast. These are all things that we would like to give a company in order for the exchange to happen. And these is what allows us to gain that knowledge. Do you have something to say,
And
Nico?
you can pose them a challenge. You can have them create a project, and you can pose that project to effectively the maker community on campus.
As well as workshops. Caterpillar ran.
Yeah, Caterpillar ran a Code in the Dark hackathon at 7 p.m.
Yeah.
So,
And that was individually ran, and 3 separate people won prizes from that.
We're willing to work with you.
Yes.
Yeah.
I want to say that if I had a company, I am convinced that I have to participate. Congratulations.
Yes.
It seems that you are very well trained on that. So, out of curiosity, if I was the dean of the computer science department, or the CDIS, the computer data science,
Information sciences.
school, if I was the provost, if I was the president, and you would like to tell me some words, this is the time of your voice. What would you like to ask me for the next year? What could you do more? And I was not aware about that amazing work that you have done until now, and now that I give you that opportunity, I would like to learn in order to help you.
Yeah, I think Madhacks is organic, and it's special because it's organic and because we have a strong community of people that builds an even larger strong community for 2 days. I think having that place where people from all backgrounds can come to learn about how to create using technology and the tools of computer science plays a large role in serving both the teaching mission of the university and its outreach mission, and supporting our ability to reach a larger audience, to be able to better support the hackers while they're there. The university already provides venues that are amazing for us to hold this event, and the resources needed to support it through all of the amazing people in CDAIS and in the computer science department who help enable what we're doing. But yeah, I think the university has something special here, and supporting Madhacks long term would be very helpful to have some sort of continuity.
So, before asking you, I want to close this discussion with some very basic questions. First of all, if there are any surprises for the next year, my second final question would be, if I want to participate, tell me how I will do it to give the information to the people. Frankly speaking, I would like to ask you two other questions. I would like to hear very organically, very naturally, if I want, can you convince me if I am a student why I should participate either in the organization or in the competition? Give me like the elevator speech, like from the deep of your heart. Tell me why I should be member either of the organization or of the competition. That would be my three final questions. But before that, I would like to change that boring role that I am the interviewer and ask you if you would like to ask me anything.
What was your favorite project that you liked to judge that made an impact in your judging experience?
Oh,
You said you had a couple of favorites.
okay. First of all, there was an impressive, and it was one of the. We discussed about the implication of LLMs in hackathons, right? But it was one that didn't have an application of AI. It was a very nice idea about you're going in a place and you want to do something like you are a tourist and you're going, for example, in New York, and you are claiming, look, I will walk around in that radius. Can you create a fancy tour with interesting places? First of all, from scientific perspective, because you want to do a tour, that it is something like a very famous problem that is called traveling salesman problem, and it was very, very interesting to see that there were students. So this problem typically is a hard problem to solve, and the students were aware about the most famous heuristics around this problem, heuristics that I have to confess that I'm working in analyzing them. So it was very interesting to see that people were using them. But frankly speaking, I was much more driven by the idea because, after so many years of being a PhD student or postdoc and general researcher, I can tell you the most amazing part is the part that you are traveling. So every time the big question is, I am in a place, how I can go around, how I should select the way that I will go in a new city. It was very, very, very interesting project. The other thing was that project about the mule. I appreciate a lot the idea, the understanding behind the maths of that project. So it's a little bit interesting again, and I feel that there is a merit to narrate that. We have two ladies that they decide to came from Chicago, I think, to Madison, and they decide to create this project driven by the story of the mother of one of them, and they had the time to think during these 2 days, 24 hours challenge that, look, there is the phenomenon of bias sampling because typically the majority of the people are healthy. So if you want to have a good accuracy in your model, you have to fix your data set. And they apply actually one of the most standard techniques to do that. That was amazing. Like, it's amazing to see that people and it's to explain why it was amazing, because they did the correct thing without being scientists, without being, researchers on the community. They just do it instinctively. I was super amazed by those two projects.
So, Manolis, are you teaching any classes right now?
Oh yeah, okay. We will not turn to that discussion. Yes, I'm teaching Introduction to Algorithms. Actually, yesterday I did my last lecture. In the next semester, I will teach one topics course in one of the areas that I'm working on, that is game theory, optimization, and learning. In other words, how we are using AI when different people have different incentives. To give a simple example that I'm giving every time is, for example, how you can strategically play in Among Us, that everyone knows. That it's a very interesting team game where no one knows if it is an opponent or a friend in the team. Or, for example, the classical example is, let's assume that there is a big event in the capital. If all of us were trusting our GPS, we have an issue. If the GPS gives the shortest path to everyone from the university, for example, to the capital, then we have a problem because we will fool the capacity of the flow of the main street. So how we can somehow use AI, but at the same time take care of the social welfare of the community. There are many interesting questions, but we are not here today for me. So I will.
But I have one more question.
Okay,
for you.
go on.
So you talked a little bit about students applying the topics learned in your class, like the traveling salesman problem, and how it's not computationally something that's very convenient to solve. Did you see any students from your class outside the classroom at Madhacks?
Oh yeah, I think I have at least two. Okay, I have to. So one was about pitch and voice. The other one, okay, I have to narrate that story. Here is my confession. In my homeworks, there are many stories about Harry Potter or Lord of the Rings. They are algorithmic questions, but they are about they're undercover algorithmic questions using my favorite heroes. And there was a student that I have the feeling that I was the idea, the origin between their project. It was something like the following. Imagine that you want to ask you want to prepare a quiz, a mathematical quiz. You add your favorite story, and the project was I will transform the quiz to a quiz that is based on, I don't know, Harry Potter, Pirates of Caribbean, etc. So yeah, there were students of mine. It was a little bit embarrassing, the last one, but I hope that they had fun with that. I enjoy a lot, and I was very happy, you know, after the Madhacks in the next lecture, that I was very proud that one of my students actually won a prize from a company, and we celebrated all together in the class. So yeah, even for me as a teacher of algorithms, it was a very nice experience. Anyway, we will close the chapter of me, and I will go back to my interviewer position, and I will ask first the question about, tell me the surprises of the next year. Give me some juicy news. What will change for the next year?
Well, the CDIS building is opening.
Wow.
Wow. Oh my God, I didn't know about that. But I think a really huge limiting factor of Madhacks and the number of people that we're allowed to admit every single year is we have to limit it to 200-something people because a lecture hall is only so big. And the largest lecture hall inside CDIS is 300-something people, I believe. So having a bigger space to move into, having a space where we're able to accept more people and have more open space for people to just walk around, wander, and just collaborate in is going to be a really huge change for us. But I think a lot of things we did really well was from this year compared to last year when I was also organizing is everything ran a lot more smoothly. I think logistics, we did a lot more pre-planning ahead of time and a lot of stuff like catering, food. We had a lot of experience from last year that we transferred over into this year. So I'm expecting a lot of that to also transfer over into next fall for the junior coordinators and organizers that are going on. But I think with a lot of the sponsorships, that if we continue with those sponsorships for the next year, I think with a lot of money, we can also do a lot more better food, better prizes, and a lot of more interesting things like maybe chartering buses in for students who are coming in from, for example, like UW Whitewater, UW Superior.
There
And
were
I
a
think
number
Michael
of
can talk more about
yeah.
that.
There were a number of Superior students who applied and wanted to come. I think they had a whole software engineering club or something apply.
Oh, yeah.
But I don't think any of them ended up making the drive. But I guess as to your question about what would be the most different about Madhacks next year is that this year was our Madhacks and next year is, to the listeners, yours, because we are graduating for the most part. And yeah, I guess it's if you enjoyed Madhacks and you want to get involved, reach out, and we'd love to have the next generation to carry the tradition forward.
So, if I am a student that wants to participate, and as we make it clear, it doesn't matter if I am in the middle school, in the high school, or in the university, what is the period that I should be aware to do my application about the next year Madhacks hackathon?
I think most of it is just being really enthusiastic and expressing interest.
Yeah.
Like,
But
I think,
when
Well,
is the deadline? Like,
ooh, we don't really have a deadline, do
check
we?
our website, which is madhacks.io, in September, and you should find the application there.
I see. So, as I promised, I will close with two questions that somehow I did foreshadowing in order to prepare it. I want to hear the voice of the students. Why on the earth I should come to Madhacks, either to organize it or to participate? From the deepest of your heart, without having any prepared in any written stones, tell me why I should come and participate or organize it.
So yeah, I would say, do you want a free t-shirt? Do you want free food and free swag? Spend 24 hours coding a project in a team of 4? Come to the next Madhacks hackathon. And that's what I would say to all the listeners listening, as well as the pitch for companies. Do you want your brand to be on the eyes of the next generation of coders? The coders that are there to improve themselves? Come and sponsor Madhacks.
I said earlier that Madhacks was my first hackathon, and it opened the door for me to all of this sort of community. You know, I was a freshman. I had just gotten here, and I really didn't know anybody. And Madhacks, I met some friends I still talk to this day, to today, like 3 years later. So I think you should attend Madhacks, hack there, and build something cool, to meet new people, to put something interesting on your resume, and it will open the door to more things. And if you're interested in organizing Madhacks, maybe you were inspired by, this year, or you were a hacker this year, just, come into the UPL in the Computer Sciences building, sit down, hang out with us for an afternoon, and bring it up. And we'd love to have you. We need as much help as we can get.
I'm waiting also the other people. Kevin, why you will participate again? I don't know. Are you graduating?
No.
Okay, so we will have you next year. So tell us why you will maintain your interest to the competition.
So I think the deadline really forces you to finish a project. Like, many people have 1 billion unfinished projects that if you don't have a deadline that you'll never complete, or have a working project. But if you have a deadline, it forces you to polish up, try to have things that work, and forces you to narrow your scope and not make a very impossible thing.
Yeah, I think coming to Madhacks would be a great decision. I think one of the most important things about a hackathon is just the experience you get from it. When I went to my internships, I think I look back on my hackathons as times where I learned the most, because you're working with a team. Sometimes you don't know the people going in. You're each doing your role and helping them with theirs. You're forced to go from a state where you're following directions to making your own project, and in that you choose technologies that are relevant, and I think it helps prepare you for the actual for doing things on your own with technology, which is what a lot of people came into the field hoping to do, was to build things.
Any last words?
Also, I want to thank you all, because I think a lot of this semester was putting together a lot of details and a lot of organizations, and to the entire Madhacks team that was behind this, that wasn't able to be with us today, they helped a ton. And I cannot we had a whole Costco run, we had things that like tables getting moved and like t-shirt branding stuff. Like there's so many moving parts, and each person came up and did the part that they were. And because of that, the event was successful. If it was only one person running, it's hard for a one-person man to run the show, but Nick did it, and that was amazing. And we thank him dearly because he's able to pass on the knowledge. He did the research and pass on the knowledge for Madhacks to work. And now we want to keep passing Madhacks on. We want to make Madhacks live through multiple years' worth. And because of that, we want people to learn. And so that's why we run, so that people can learn. And even if you don't know anything, no code, not a CS major, we want you to come and we want you to enjoy. And that's why we host it.
So, is there anything more? Go on.
Even if we've only 10% convinced you, then come to 10% of the event and go sit down in that first workshop.
That is a very cool argument.
I mean,
So, while trying to close this amazing discussion, wait, there is more opinions. Kayley, go on.
I feel like because I'm going last, I think a lot of the things that I wanted to say have been covered already. But I think having organized Madhacks for 2 years, having organized hackathons for like since high school, each hackathon is a huge labor of love. We're all doing this at like on a voluntary basis to give you the best 48 hours of your life, hopefully. And I think there's a lot of work that goes on behind the scenes, like Grace says, that like we don't really get to communicate out. But on the surface, come to Madhacks if you really want to build something, if you're really passionate about just exploring even one thing. Like I said earlier, we're taking care of everything for you. We spend so much time to make sure that you can have the best hackathon experience possible. You can meet so many enthusiastic people who are like-minded, who are really curious about something, curious about having a product done. And you can meet people from industry if you want. You can meet a lot of cool professionals, cool professors in your case. And I think it's, with every single hackathon that I organize, with every single hackathon that I've been to, it's a really unique environment where you get to meet so many cool people and just bond over bigger things, like just, and I think that's really special.
Thank you a lot. While closing, I want first of all to thank David. David is the silent guy that you never heard. David, would you like to say hi to the microphone or not? David is the amazing guy that hosts that event of our podcast in this amazing university that we are, in University of Wisconsin-Madison. So from Nico, Grace, Kayley, Kevin, Michael, and the very, very boring Professor Manolis Vlatakis. I hope that we keep you an interesting, almost more than 1 hour, but with lots of information about Madhacks. If you want like one last sentence from a professor to all the potential math hackers that they are listening right now, remember the following: science, and actually life, never ends when we will give all the answers. It will end only if we ask all the questions. So as long as you have questions, probably one place to start is UPL. If you have an interesting question and you would like to solve it, come to the next year Madhacks. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.